Hi there, this is basically a video for beginners. It's to help you make your own little productions. I've got a basic camera here, most likely second-hand $100, and a tripod that you can get for like $5 in a sale. That's what I'm shooting this on. Now let's get to the concept. We'll get back to equipment later. You need a concept. Basically, what is your concept or what's your idea? Say, Mr. Perfect was my concept. Was, oh, this man is kind of perfect, Mr. Bean type kind of, but in my own way or my own style. So I developed that further by, making his appearance, and what is his appearance going to be, and that is the basic concept, right? But then, for your first project, you'll need a story. You'll need a story from the beginning to end, 8 minutes. Say you're going to do a short first. You need the beginning, and you need some kind of a story through, and you need the ending. So your whole concept and story are combined, and then you're ready to actually script it. And when you start scripting it, it will change again, and you'll add new things. And if you're doing it as a loner, you'll script it and you'll change quite a few things as you go along. Yeah. I do. I don't need anybody to help me do that. I just go, oh, that's not, I'll do it this way, I'll do it that. Oh, that's funny, right? Oh, that's not funny. So that's how you do it. You can get if you have a trouble with the title, what you do is you go with a working title. So you put a working title on your project, and then you move on to a finished title when you're getting near the end or something. My title for my show was Mr. Herbert, but by the time I ended shooting it, I realized it was Mr. Perfect. So I thought that title was a way better, and so basically I did have a working title, Herbert, and I ended up with Mr. Perfect as a end shooting title, which is more catchy for your audience. Here is a feature script, and you can see the character titles in above. Because it's a huge script, it's like an hour long or an hour and a half long, you have to be very detailed, and you have descriptions of scenes, and then you can do your breakups. But here is, for a low budget, a scribbled stuff on top, of course, but there's my characters are in there. It could be a little bit better done, but if you notice, I've done the type very large, and you'll say, why would you do the type so large? Well, it's simple. If you're acting on your own, and you have the camera and you put it in record, you walk into the scene and you're doing your script. The script is right underneath the camera here, so you can see punchlines, or you can see little pieces that'll help you if you get stuck. At the moment, I have underneath this camera scribbles right underneath here of what I'm going to talk to you about. Actually, I'll take it off, and there you go. There's concept, story, script, and what I'm talking about, see? So it prompts me so I can get through, without getting too many mistakes. So the large script font, I'm reading it right now, the large script font is a real help to getting, through your project if you're a lone shooter. Even for actors, we have put boards up beside the camera to prompt things when they're having trouble, and they do that in the large shows as well, even in the features. So now you're going to rehearse your script. So you go through the parts. I go through Herbert and his language, like he's getting more and more German sounding than Austrian, but Austrian is to me close, but I was in Germany, so I start going wat and will, and a little bit of my Irish accent comes out, which I'm trying to lose. So there's little things that you have to practice to get rid of certain things. And he's stiff, and he's very stiff, and I'm, as a character, Willie, more loose. There's two characters. Now, if you're not too sure about how to shoot, you should test your, do a test footage, do a couple of test shots, and have a look at it and see how it looks. Now we're getting to the hard part, which is, can be quite easy. And what the large shows do, and it works really well for them, is what you do is you work out your transitions. You have a beginning, and then you're going to do your piece, right? But through your piece, you can't stay at a wide shot like this the whole time. you have to come into some closer action. You have to move around. You can do it with camera movement. If you're a lone shooter, you can't. You can do it in edit. You can bring yourself in afterwards. But the best way to shoot it is do a wide. The professionals do a wide, medium, and then a close-up. So you do a very wide shot, then you do the medium, and then you do the close-up. And if you do them in the same pattern, you can cut through back and forth. But they always start off with wide when they're shooting, because it's basically entailing everything, and then when you close in, it's easier to light. So you want to get your wide shots out of the way first. They're the harder ones to shoot. Now decide whether you're walking in or walking out. Walking in and walking out helps you. You can walk in, pause, because you've started the camera. You can walk in, pause, and start, which I do. Or sometimes you can walk in, and if you have a scene where you're running out of it, it's great, you know, if it's panic or something like that. If you look at Mr. Perfect, my shot, he runs out through the gate, and then it cuts to Willie coming back with his tea. And he comes through the door, right? So entering and exiting shots are fine. You don't need to do them all the time, but they are fine. Little tricks like cutting away to a fellow. If this other person's talking, you cut away to the other fellow that's in the room, nodding. So if it's you and you, if you're doing your two characters yourself, you nod like this while your other shot is being filmed, so you have something to cut away to and come back to. They're called reaction shots. Fillers, you can call them fillers. So there's a different words for them, but it's all the same thing, right? Now you've got that done, and I've talked about walking in and out of shots, right? List all, I gotta read this, see the prop thing there. List all props needed, right? Because when you get to show and you don't have the prop, it makes a big difference. It can ruin the whole thing. You know, it could be a pen, pen's in his pocket, right? Write those things down. Pen's in his pocket. I'm wearing different glasses as Mr. Perfect. You know, Mr. Perfect's wig, Mr. Perfect's glasses, Mr. Perfect has 3 pins in his pocket. Mr. Perfect has brown shoes. He has a white shirt and he has a white overcoat. He may have cords in the future to make him a little bit more staunchy. There you go, changing wardrobe a little. So, write all your props down, make sure you have them, and then you get to the harder part. All special effects, SFX, all SFX or special effects, you should think about them in detail. And I'm going to give you an example of that. Mr. Perfect burning the painting was quite easy. I painted the painting and burnt it once. Now it would be great if you had 2 cameras, but if you know, like me, you don't, you have one, you shoot it, and then you do close up and you shoot it again, and you close up and you shoot it again, and you hope the last, I put a pan underneath so that I could put some liquid in and burn it and burn it and burn it, and it looked like it was burning still when it actually wasn't. So that's how I got an extra tape. There you go. I was partway through this and I had a power cut. Goes to show, if this is on a one of your shoots, you're most likely have to wait till the power came back. It would be kind of over. So anyways, I have a battery flashlight here for a minute just to carry on. So I was at work out your transitions, list all the props. Special effects, an example I was going to give for special effects is if you fired a rocket and it's supposed to be coming, it comes straight at a guy and he ducks and it misses him and hits the fence, you're going to need the back end of the rocket afterwards glued to the fence with kind of black around it to look like it had shot through the fence, so half of it was through the fence and it was sticking out. So there is an example of an effect where you don't need the one rocket. You'll need a rocket and a half, and maybe if you fire the rocket 2 or 3 times in the scene, you might need 2 or 3 rockets and the 1/2 to glue to the fence. So sometimes one prop isn't good enough. You might need, because you're going to damage stuff, or you're going to fire it and it's not going to work the next time. So think about those elements and how do you want to make it look after, say, the bike crashes. Is part of the bike through the fence, or how are you going to do that? Or is the wheel going to be bent in half? Do you have to get an old wheel, bend it, and have it ready there for the shot of the bike crashed? Okay, now I've got the form in front of me because I can't read it under the camera. The last thing I wanted to talk about, getting the light here a little, the last thing I want to talk about is the visualization of your show. Sit down, right, and visualize each scene. Now, I can't say how important that is to visualize through the scenes and think about them. And then when you write them, they become funny and you'll visualize more and more your scenes. But when you visualize your scenes, you can see and feel what's going to happen before you shoot it. And you know, the cuts change and edit always, but when you visualize your scenes, you are so much better off visualizing the show first. You can't beat it. There isn't too much more I can say about beginning film. Just go out there with your basics, and if you're shooting on your own, go ahead and go ahead and do it still. Basically, if you want to shoot a film or else your own little production on your own, do it. Go for it. Think of a concept. Don't be afraid of it. And I'll show how I do props. You have to think out of the box a little and go to thrift stores and buy second-hand junk and glue it together. And you can come up with a really good production still with good production value. I hope this helps a lot of you people out there that want to shoot. Just, have faith in yourself and shoot it.